Good afternoon. I'm back in Bangkok, Thailand. It is good to be back. It is hot, it is humid, it is touristy. I just arrived very early this morning, flying from Sri Lanka. Okay, I think I can get across about now. This is Tanan Khao San Road, right here. Rather quiet, actually, as you can see there, Tanan Khao San. And then I want to show this right here, Rocco Cannabis Store. I'm sure that most people know already, but it is legalized. And you will see the actual buds just in jars. I just passed a place down there. I'm sure that we will see it in the course of this video, full on big jars of buds just out there on the street. So a bit of a change here in Thailand. I forget exactly when that happened. It's been a few years. All right, so the idea with this video is to wrap up things in Sri Lanka, because I didn't get the chance to film any further on my last couple of days there. It was hectic, as you will be learning in the course of this video. I realize it's noisy and distracting around here. The plan is to just fly through here and then go for a wander and show a bit of the streets of Bangkok and tell this story. So it's pretty mellow here right now, but come back in, what is it, about 3:30 in the afternoon. Come back in, 6-7 hours or whatever, and I'm sure it's going to be thumping away here. New Year's is in just a couple of days. Today is December 28th. I have a room that I booked, I booked it for last night because I was landing at 4 in the morning, and wanted to make sure I could actually get into my room and not have to wait until 2 in the afternoon or whatever, and then for 2 more nights. So that gives me today and tomorrow, and then I will see after that. The plan is to head for the islands. It's going to be a fairly short trip to Thailand, I think. So one of the reasons that I'm here is my friend Victor from Sweden is down on Koh Phangan now, and so thought that I would stop there again. The last time that I saw him was on Koh Phangan 4 years ago, like right before the pandemic hit, or a couple months before. Or no, not a couple months. That might have been, where was I for New Year's Hello. That year, I'm forgetting. Anyways, saw Victor 4 years ago. So it will be nice just to, you know, check out the islands once again and then hang with Victor. But I might go a bit of a winding route and hit some other spots along the way. Thinking about how to get out of Bangkok, bus or train or flight. All right, end of the Khao San Road.
Hello.
And then we can get to the story here, explain what happened. It was an interesting couple of days, shall we say. I was intending to film a video in Colombo and was thinking of filming this video there, telling the same story on the streets of Colombo so that you'd see a bit of the capital of Sri Lanka, but I didn't get the time for it. And as it turns out, you didn't really miss too much. I definitely was not impressed by Colombo. All right, well, this is going to be a noisy experience anyways, but at least you'll get to see a bit of the streets of Bangkok. Maybe we will find some quieter spots. Okay, so my last video was filmed in Eliya, in the interior of Sri Lanka, beautiful rainforest area. And then I had to get from there back to Colombo to catch my flight, which was a 5-hour drive from Eliya. But that went back the same way that I had come there, and I wanted to go a different route and maybe see something more. So as I showed in that video, I checked the train options and there were no first class tickets available, and he wouldn't sell me another ticket until the next day, 30 minutes before the train departed the next morning, going back to Colombo. And I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to do it anyways, and so I decided to just go to sleep that night, not knowing what I was going to do the next day and figure it out. So I get up, get all packed up, head out, walk to the train station, and as I mentioned in the other video, then there was a train at 6 something, a train at 9 something, and a train at 11:10. I didn't get things together in time for either of the earlier ones, so I was shooting for the 11 o'clock train, and I was thinking that I was going to go for that, even though I had an extra day, but thought, well, just get to Colombo and then have some extra time there to film and explore around. So I get down to the train station, and there is first class, second class, third class. And as I had shown in a previous video, when I'd seen one of the trains go by, it was jam-packed, people hanging out of the doors and stuff. So that is the third class. I'd asked a couple of people about second class, and they said, yeah, it's fine. So I go to the ticket counter, and there is a ticket available for the 11 o'clock train. It's going to be 600 Sri Lankan rupees. That is only $2. He's handing me the ticket. Actually, he handed me the ticket. And then I was about to get out my money, and then I thought to ask, how long does it take? And so I asked him, And he says 9 hours. I was thinking it would be more like 5 or 6 or something. The reason that it takes so long is because it goes a wacky route. And so with that I said, actually no thanks. And I gave him back the ticket. Because for one thing, I wasn't ready to commit to a 9-hour train journey having no idea what the condition was gonna be, like how jam-packed, what sort of a seat I was gonna have or whatever for 9 hours, when there were some other options, including maybe going partway to Nuwara, Eliya, or Kandy, since I had some spare time, another day to work with. So I'm also thinking about just getting a taxi, just doing it, getting it done, 5 hours. Just get to Colombo. I was really not excited about a long, arduous journey getting back. Just kind of over the long drives. So I decide to just walk back into town and think about my options. I was thinking about maybe getting a taxi to Nuwara, Eliya. And so I start the walk into town, which is only like 5 minutes. And I'm almost there. And then I realize, oh, I should have asked him if that same train or else another train goes to either Nuwara, Eliya, or to Kandy. And so I turn around and walk back up to the train station and then ask him, and it turns out that same train is going to both. And so I can get out at either one along the way. It's 2.5 hours to Nuwara, Eliya, 6 hours to Kandy, and then 9 hours to Colombo. So I decide to go for that. I pay for a ticket to Kandy. It's the same price, 600 rupees, $2 for the second class. And then I figure I have some time to consider what I want to do and then just kind of see how the train trip goes. So I catch that train. It is crowded but not crazy. Hey man. Gabriel. That's right. Nice to see you. Couldn't tell by his accent. American, I guess? I think maybe not. Anyways. So, I get on the train. It is 3 seats, 1 bench with 3 seats, and then another one facing that other one, and then on the other side, 2 seats facing each other, and that is the arrangement all the way up and down the train car. So I get a seat next to the aisle with the 3 seats, and they all fill up, but at least I have a seat. Some cool places to see in Bangkok and around Thailand. All right, at least we're back in some quieter lanes here. So the train experience is okay. It isn't crazy, at least, but it's pretty packed in there, and I really don't like the experience of sitting there facing somebody else, and then like there's a whole family that are all talking, you know, a lot of the time, and so it's, you know, noisy, lots of people talking, and I'm just sitting there, you know, stuck facing somebody else. I much prefer the seats that are all facing the same direction, and then if it has a, you know, tray coming down, then I can actually get some work done, pull out the laptop. But I can't do anything other than just sit there, listen to music, see the landscapes rolling by, which were absolutely just unreal beautiful. It was amazing. It was all mountains and hills. And so this leads into where things go next, the experience getting back. Because it was really quite remarkable how hilly and mountainous the interior of Sri Lanka was. All just lush, tropical, green, beautiful. No cities, just little towns, farm, houses and fields, villages, people's regular lives. So it was really interesting, even though I didn't have the window seat, but I could, still kind of see what's going on out there. And so it was a beautiful drive, but or train ride. And so after an hour and a half or two, I'm just kind of over it, not enjoying it, just feeling kind of cramped. And for one thing, it ends up taking longer. It takes more than 3 hours just to get to Nuwara, Eliya. And so it's going to be late. It's going to take more than the 9 hours to get to Colombo, more than 6 to get to Kandy. And I'm just wiped out. I just don't have it in me to sit there after 3 hours. I am just 100% not into another 4 hours or whatever to get to Kandy. Not to mention the 7 hours or whatever more that it's going to take to get to Colombo. So I decide, let's bail and get off at Nuwara, Eliya. And so that ended up taking like 3 hours, 15 minutes or something instead of 2.5. So I get off there. The train station is a little ways away from the town. I catch a rickshaw 15 minutes or so into the town. It is a cool, like a holiday resort mountain town. It's up in elevation. The weather was beautiful. It was a really nice place. But I really just didn't have much interest in sightseeing at that point. I just wanted to get back to Colombo. And so decided to just stay there for the night, most likely, and then deal with the rest of the journey the next day. Now, there was one kind of frustrating thing, which is that despite the long, or 3-hour train ride, I hadn't actually made any progress because it was also a 5-hour drive from there to Colombo. It was 5 hours from Eliya, and then it was still 5 hours. Okay, we got a walk signal. And the reason is because of those hills and mountains, as I will explain more later. So I get dropped off and I'm just not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm considering maybe catching a bus from there to Colombo, but I decide that I just want to take a seat somewhere, collect my thoughts, consider what I want to do. It will be easy enough to get a hotel there. So I walk through the town, and then I end up in this nice park area, and there are like some nice gates. It's very posh looking. And then I realized, oh, this is a golf course. I hadn't seen any golfers, and then I saw some. And so it's a really nice area. And so I decide to find somewhere to take a seat there's this little trail going up a hill. I decide to follow that, and it leads to one of the golf greens. And so then I'm walking across a golf green. I see a nice like grassy area and decide to walk over there and just take a seat. And so I'm just setting down my backpack when a security guard kind of comes out of nowhere and makes it clear, go away. So I leave and then go find another spot to take a seat and just kind of relax for a few minutes. And I'm thinking, okay, should I go to the bus station and try to get a bus to Colombo? At this point, it's like 4 in the afternoon, maybe between 3 and 4. And so that's going to mean, you know, if it's a 5-hour drive, a bus is going to take longer. So that's going to mean arriving in Colombo very late. So I decide to just plan to stay there for the night. So a rickshaw comes along, I flag him down and say, you know, can you just take me to, you know, like a 2 or 3 star hotel? And he says, sure. So we take off, go find a hotel. They have a room, but they have no Wi-Fi. The hotel is brand new and a decent price, but no Wi-Fi, and it's going to be like a long afternoon and evening hanging out, and I want to have Wi-Fi. So I tell them, yeah, I need somewhere with Wi-Fi. They didn't have Wi-Fi because they were brand new. Interesting area here. So we go to try another place, and we walk in, and it feels like I'm walking into somebody's living room. It's like a guest house, but we walk in, it's like a small living room area. There's 3 guys, there's one guy eating some food on a table right there, and then they show me to the room, and it is literally right there, like 2 feet away from the reception desk. It's small, it's dark, and then I'm going to be like, you know, hearing all the activity in the reception area there. And so I say no thanks on that one. And then the guy is calling various numbers, but the problem is this is Christmas Day, and it is a major holiday in Sri Lanka. It's very crowded in this town, lots of mostly local Sri Lankan tourists. So finally he finds a hotel on his phone that has a room that has Wi-Fi. So we drive over there, and it works. Nice room, much better location, more in the center of things. And so he drops me there. I chill out for a bit and then head out and decide to just go for a walk through the town. I'm still just not in the mood for any filming. It's kind of late at this point, but just want to see it at least. And then also stop at the bus station and see if I can get some information about bus times the next day, and maybe buy a ticket for like a, you know, deluxe express bus. Just carrying a chicken. Wow, this is a cool area. I've never been back in these lanes before. So I walk past the bus station, stop there. I guess there isn't really like a official bus counter, I end up talking with a couple of rickshaw drivers, and they say, just come in the morning. He says, you know, there's one at like 11:30, and just show up or come earlier. There will be other buses. And so I say thanks, and then just keep on walking around. And then getting hungry, so I decide to find a nice restaurant, preferably where I can get a glass of wine, and I have my laptop so that I can get some work done. So I'm walking around, not seeing a restaurant that looks like it's going to work what I'm looking for. And then I walk past this mall and see that there's a food court in there. Not quite what I had in mind, so I keep on walking, and then after 15 seconds I pass a sign and it has a little wine glass or like a cocktail glass on it, and I realize that is the food court. And so I think, okay, well, let's go check it out, maybe this will work. So go in there, and it's actually perfect. Nice atmosphere. It's like a sort of fancier food court experience. Get a glass of wine and order some Italian food. Had ravioli and risotto, and man, it was some of the best Italian food that I've ever had. It was so tasty. Partly just, it's been a while since I had Italian food, and I was just kind of in the mood for, you know, a change from Asian. So, great meal. Really kind of helps my mood a bit. But I'm really not looking forward to the journey the next day. I am realizing that the reason it takes 5 hours straight driving is because of the hills, and it is going to be a very windy experience. So I'm thinking hard about, do I want to chance it with the bus or just shell out for a taxi? I would prefer to sit on a bus if I have a decent seat, if it's not stopping all the time. So that is the big variable. How express is the express bus going to be? So I go to sleep basically not knowing what I'm going to do the next day. Wake up in the morning, I'm thinking through everything involved in the bus and all of the variability, the time, getting to the bus station, finding out when the next bus is actually going to be going, because I looked online and there was no clear information about actual bus times. And then waiting for the bus, and then how express is this bus going to be? If it's 5 hours and it's just a regular local bus, I mean, that could be 8-9 hours or whatever. And then I get dropped off at the bus station in Colombo. From there I'm going to have to get across the city, however far that is, to my hotel. I had booked a hotel there in Colombo, and so I decide, screw it, let's just get a taxi. So I asked the hotel manager. He orders a taxi to show up in like an hour. It's going to cost 32,000 Sri Lankan rupees. That is basically $100. So an expense, but it's really the best way to go considering all factors and options. And so we get going, start the drive, and sure enough, it is windy as hell. So I think that must be the king of Thailand, the previous king, who was one of the longest reigning monarchs in world history. died a few years ago, and his son, now king. Now I'm not sure here. Are those the same women? Just two different pictures? Maybe his wife? Not sure about that, but that could be the case. Huh, which way to go? Man, temples in every direction. I think this is the best as far as finishing the story. So, I was thinking about it along the way, and there are three main factors when it comes to your road experience. There is the condition of the road itself. Is it paved? Is it dirt or whatever, gravel? And if it's paved, which this was paved the whole way, how bumpy is it? This road was pretty smooth, but a bit bumpy at points, but not a big deal in that regard. But then there's the factor of the windiness. And so that's going to have a big impact on your driving experience. And then there is the stopping and starting movement of the car. And so in both of those other two regards, it was brutal. Just absolutely constantly windy, like literally almost the entire 5 hours, just constant, like you didn't have hardly 100 meters of straight road. Again, gorgeous, beautiful, lush, green, tropical paradise landscapes, and really interesting sights along the way, villages, towns, local life, temples, etc. But it was busy, and lots of towns, lots of obstacles, lots of overtaking, lots of slowing down, and so it was constant, you know, you're doing this, you know, in the car, slowing down to not hit somebody. There were so many close calls. So, point being, it was a rough ride. And sometimes you're a little more in the mood for it than others. In this case, I really was not in the mood for it, but that's the way it had to be, and this was the best possible option for getting through this. So, finally, we arrive. Pull into Colombo. Big spread out city. A lot of big buildings, lots of construction going on. My hotel was quite nice. Right near the, I guess, the fort area, right by the coast, basically a very central location, but it felt almost a little like one of the Gulf cities. It wasn't at the same level as far as the buildings, but as far as everything being kind of spread out in big buildings and big streets, there was a lot of construction, new buildings. Come back in 10-20 years and it's probably going to be even more like one of those cities. Lots of new construction, but it felt very kind of impersonal, and it was fairly run down. There were some interesting looking neighborhoods, but as I said before, you really didn't miss too much not seeing Colombo in a video. So I had booked 2 nights there, but my flight was the next day. So I just had that night and then the next day, and then my flight was at 11 p.m. I didn't get around to filming that afternoon, and then the next day I was thinking of filming, but I had my last video to finish editing, and just didn't really have it in me to try to do a city tour of Colombo. So there you go. That wraps that up. So if somebody were to just go to Colombo, I'm sure that they would have a pretty bad impression of Sri Lanka, and I think that most people probably don't even stop there, which is fine. Like, if you have a week or two in Sri Lanka and just want to experience the best of the country, just skip Colombo, head for the beaches or interior. Overall, I have to say I was just hugely impressed by Sri Lanka. It was even nicer than I expected. Really amazing country with tons more to see the next time. I know that I missed basically the best stuff, Sigiriya Rock, and the best of the Buddhist statues. There you go. I caught my flight, 3 hours, about $175, Air Asia, direct Colombo to Bangkok, landed at 4 o'clock this morning, got checked into my hotel, got some sleep through the day, and am hoping now I can get back on a normal sleep pattern. From here, we shall see. So, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for tomorrow. In Bangkok, I have shopping to do. I need to get new shirts. It is time to change the shirts, get rid of the old ones that you have seen too many times, and buy some other stuff, and then figure out my plans from here. So, more coming from Thailand. See ya.